Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Blissful Living Podcast. This is Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson, the Queen of Feeling Fabulous, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to today's show. I have a fabulous guest with me, and we're going to be talking about some really interesting things when it comes to the 5 keys to product success and letters from My Hymie. And so, as you know, I like to say, take this opportunity. First of all, if you haven't subscribed to the show, to subscribe to the show and share it with everyone you know, love, and care about. Secondly, find a place to sit, gather a pen, piece of paper, your favorite beverage. Today, I'm sipping on some water because it's hot where I am. And give your family some time, or tell your family to give you a few moments so you can capture the nuggets of gold that the guest is going to share with us today. While you're doing that, let me take care of some business. I want to thank our sponsor, Blissful Living for You, at Blissful Living, the number 4, the letter U.com. They've got a phenomenal event coming up that you definitely will want to be in the house. It's all about unlocking the unlimited possibilities with your wellness, wisdom, and wealth so that you can have physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual vitality. But that's just one thing that they have. They have some wonderful books that you can pick up, as well as programs, and you can actually find out your unique essence, your dosha, by going to Blissful Living, the number 4, the letter U.com. Next sponsor is All Day Cable Incorporated. All Day Cable is a telecommunications installation company specializing in installation of voice, data, fiber optic cabling, all things network distribution, wireless access points, modems, routers, your whole network distribution. They specialize in servicing small, medium, and very large corporations, as well as transportation, state, local, and federal government entities. And they're woman-owned, and they are located in the heart of Silicon Valley. So if you are in need of a premier telecommunications installation company that's been around since 1990, then you definitely want to check out All Day Cable Inc. Their motto is they help you to make the right connections the first time, and they are 100% on-time project delivery and within budget. So definitely a company you should have in your back pocket as we evolve into this future of technology and telecommunications and how we communicate. All right, so I've taken care of business. You can check All Day Cable out at www.alldaycableinc.com. So let me tell you about my guest. So my guest today is David Fradin, and David was classically trained as an HP, aka Hewlett Packard, product manager, and was then recruited by Apple to bring the first hard disk drive on a PC to market, and later became the Apple Business Unit Manager at the same level as Steve Jobs. Now, he is the author of Building Insanely Great Products, Organizing and Managing Insanely Great Products, and the widely published Successful Product Design and Management, all now available on that fabulous site, Amazon.com. And so with regards to what David has done, he is just, I would say, a trailblazer. And one of his missions is to help products succeed. He's trained companies such as Cisco on these topics and other companies worldwide. And so I am so happy to bring David to Blissful Living for You today, and for all of you to be able to capture some nuggets of gold. And we're going to be talking about the 5 keys to product success and a personal tribute. So, David, welcome. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Good. Glad to have you on the show. So I want to open up with the first question we have for you with regards to 5 keys to product success. How did you develop the 5 keys to product success? I mean, you've done some phenomenal things, particularly with the hard drive. And some of our listeners may not even know what a hard drive is, but I do. So how did you develop the 5 keys to product success?
Well, it's based upon my experience bringing 75 products and services to market over the past 50 or so years. And it's epitomized in the mnemonic of my company's name, Spice Catalyst, where the word SPICE is the S stands for product market strategy, P stands for processes that are repeatable so they can become mature. The I stands for having the information necessary in order to make informed decisions. The C is the most important one, and that's understanding your customer, what it is that they want to do, when do they want to do it, where do they want to do it, how they want to do it, what's standing in their way, how important is it for them to get it done, and how satisfied are they with their current solution. And then the E is having your employees and your staff trained in the 130 competencies or skill sets necessary for product and corporate success.
I love it. One of the things, and again, I might be dating myself a bit, but just the hard drive and the first hard drive. I remember when Apple came out with the product, the Apple IICs and the Apple IIe computers, and they were utilized a lot in the educational arena, like in schools and things of that nature. But I also remember when the hard drive came into somewhat as this new emerging product existence. I worked for a company where we used to nickel plate the medium of the hard drive so that the embedded data information could be embedded onto the hard drive. So things have come definitely a long way. When you first, I want to ask you this question before we go to break, and then we'll come back and have you answer it. When you first were indulging into that hard drive arena, what was the catalyst that came to your mind that said, aha, I think we've got something that's going to be a product that is going to be sustainable and have longevity? And so hold tight. We're going to come back. I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll be back and let David answer that question. We'll be right back to the Blissful Living Podcast. Welcome back to the Blissful Living Podcast. It's Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson, the Queen of Feeling Fabulous. And before we take that quick break, I asked David that question about the whole development of the hard drive. So David, do tell.
Well, the product I brought to market was called the Apple Profile. It used a Seagate ST506, I think, hard disk assembly with our own controller board. It was very cheap. It was only $3,500, and it had tremendous space capacity of 5 megabytes, which we probably just burned up in the last 30 seconds. And no one could understand why they would need that much space, because after all, the disk 2 was 143 kilobytes, and the Profile would hold like, I forgot how many, 100 and some of those floppy disks, or 35 of those floppy disks. And then it had a directory structure so that you could have a folder, and then a folder inside of a folder, and a folder inside of a folder, and then your files, so you could organize things. And people weren't used to that either. But the key thing that made it a success was those applications that required a lot of data space, like databases, like accounting, and primarily accounting, which over time would take up a lot of space. Up until the Apple III came on the market, and later the IBM PC XT with a hard disk drive, small and medium companies would use time-sharing terminals with mainframe computers located someplace else in the country to do their accounting. And it cost them a lot of money to get their accounting done. But if they bought an Apple III for about $3,500 plus the Profile, plus the accounting software, all for about $10,000, which in today's numbers would be about $30,000, they could do all their accounting on site and save a lot of money. In fact, the number one dealer for Apple IIIs was located in Houston, Texas, not far from where you are. And I often thought that they were being used to help run the cocaine business out of Colombia because of all the Apple III sales that were going out of Houston's dealerships.
Oh, that's too funny. And it quite possibly could be, even though we develop products in the mindset of having it be utilized for legal activity, we know that the illegal activity is a conglomerate corporation as well, unfortunately, but it's, keeping it real. And so sometimes they just have more expendable cash to purchase the latest and ongoing product and technology to run their empire. So I like that. I like the information. You brought up some companies. I'm like, oh my God, Seagate. I had a summer job there when I was in college. Wow, taking me back a minute, but it's cool and it's very interesting. So now with the advent of that product that you developed for Apple and building the wherewithal so that people could understand the utilization of how important it was, what was the next thing that you took? I want to say, and what was your latest and greatest product that evolved from that first drive that you created for the PC market for Apple's computers?
Well, the profile ran on the Apple Lisa, which was having difficulty in sales. And it also ran on the Apple III. And the group product manager left the company. So they asked me to take over as the group product manager for the Apple III. And then after being on the job for a week or two, Steve Jobs took the executive committee off to Pajara Dunes near Monterey, California, and convinced them that the Apple III was blocking his yet to be announced and yet to be shipped Macintosh. And he wanted him to kill the product line so that portion of the market of the office and the business market could be occupied by his beloved Mac. And to the infinite stupidity of the executive committee, they voted to kill the product line. So I got a call that the product line has been closed. And about 2-3 weeks later, I was walking out of the Mariani building on Dianza Boulevard, which was at the time the corporate headquarters. And Ida Cole, who was the VP director of marketing for my division, she later went on to become VP of international for Microsoft. Ran out and grabbed me and says, John wants to talk to you. And I said, John, who? She says, John Scully. I said, oh, I know him. I met him a couple of times. He was the new president of Apple at the time. So they ushered me into his office, and Scully was sitting at the end of the table looking at a super VisiCalc spreadsheet. And Ida sat down across from me. On my left was Joe Graziano, the chief financial officer. And across from him was Del Yoakum, who was VP of manufacturing, who later went on to become president of Apple a few years later. So Scully says to me, Dave, we've got $20 million in piece parts spread between our manufacturing facilities in Singapore, Dallas, and Cork, Ireland. What should we do? And I said, what do you mean we, paleface? And he didn't laugh. So I had to explain the joke to him. Or there's this fictional character called the Lone Ranger that always did good. He wore all white. He had one silver bullet in his belt. He wore a mask so people wouldn't know who the good doer is. And he had a Indian sidekick by the name of Tonto.
Tonto, yeah.
When I tell this story to Indians, I have to say it's an American Indian sidekick. And they're galloping through the desert of Arizona, and they get surrounded by 10,000 yelling, screaming Indians. And the Lone Ranger turns to Tonto and says, Tonto, we're surrounded by 10,000 yelling, screaming Indians, and all they want to do is scalp us. And Tonto said, what do you mean we, paleface? So
I love it.
So he snickered a little bit, and he said, well, what should we do? I said, you gave me all the responsibility for the product line, but no authority. And then I described how I tried to do a promotion and had to go through 8 levels of bureaucracy in the company in order to get the promotion out onto the floor of a dealership, any place in the world. So he said, what should we do about it? And I said, give me the authority commensurate with responsibility. Set me up as an independent business unit, give me my own budget so I can control my own advertising, my own PR, my own product development, my own support service, and so forth. So he says, okay, make me a proposal. So 3 weeks later, I made the presentation in front of the executive committee. And I said one of the options is you just cancel the product line. Another option is let the product line exist as long as people were buying it, as long as the market was still there. And at that point, Floyd Kwame asked me, he was a VP of marketing and sales, if we cancel the product line or let it go on and a dealer calls you, what would you say in each of those two scenarios? And knowing full well that one of the keys to not only Apple's success over the years, but also Hewlett Packard's success for 50 years was the fact that they had a set of values that we were trained on and we discussed on our orientation the first day at work. And the Apple values were such things as empathy for our customers, achievement, positive social contribution, individual performance, team spirit, innovation, vision, quality, excellence, and good management. And sitting in the back of the room, unbeknownst to me, was a lady that had married Gordon, Bob Noyce, one of the co-founders of Intel. And she was instrumental as a consultant to Apple in '78 to get them to adopt and to draw up and adopt a set of values for the company. So I said, okay, Floyd, if I got a call and you guys decide to let the market decide, I would tell my that dealer that will continue to build, support, sell, market the Apple III as long as people
Hold tight.
buy.
We got to take a quick commercial break because I'm so interested. Hold tight. We'll be right back to the Blissful Living Podcast, and David's going to tell us more about this journey. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Okay, welcome back to the Blissful Living Podcast. It's the Queen of Feeling Fabulous, Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson, and David was telling us about this journey. So please continue, Dave. I'm sitting on my edge of my seat.
So under that option, I would tell the dealer that we'll continue to support it. But if you choose the option to shut the product line down and a dealer calls me, I would give them your phone number, Floyd. And then the executive committee laughed and realized that making that kind of decision was against Apple values and was not the kind of thing that they wanted to do. So a week or so later, I got a call. Ken Zerbe said to me, I understand you know a little bit about the Apple III. We'd like you to take over as the business unit manager for the Apple III product line. We'll give you a $4 million budget. You could sign for anything you want, up to $200,000, which I still can't do, and give you 17 people in your own office, in the same office that Apple first occupied when it got started, and you'll be a business unit manager. I said, well, can I be a general manager? I don't want to be a business unit manager because that spells bum. And they said, no, you'll be that. So we went off and sold 25,000 Apple IIIs. Average sales price was around $7,000 to $10,000. Generated enough profit as a result of the Apple III being a cash cow to help fund the development of the Macintosh and keep about 1,000 to 1,500 Apple employees employed for the following year. And then I decided to shut the product line down the same day that the Apple IIc was announced in April of 1985, after we had sold off the entire inventory.
Wow, very interesting. I'm taking me way back because I remember all those products, and I had an Apple, I think IIc or IIe, but I also had one of the first Macintoshes as well. But I was privy, and I don't even remember how I got this, but there was a Mac that I have in warehouse, and it was like a platinum plated color Mac. It was it was a special Mac that was, I guess, came off the assembly line. I hate to say it like that, but that's what they were. And I can't even remember how I obtained it, and I still have it. And I just knew that it was going to be something special. And once the Macintosh actually, computer came out, it was a game changer for sure. Once you learned to adapt, once you adapted to how to use the computer, then it became powerful. And so it's really, really interesting to see how some of these products have evolved into products that at one point in time was, if you need it it's absolutely necessary that you need it. You have to have it in order to even communicate with family and friends, not even just do business, but just to have everyday grasp of your life and how you operate. It's really, really interesting. Now, I want to ask you this with regards to the books you've written. What would you say is your favorite book that you wrote, and why is it your favorite book? I love the titles: Building Insanely Great Products, Organizing and Managing Insanely Great Products, and Successful Product Design and Management. Which one of those are your favorite, and why is that particular book your favorite?
Well, they're all different. The Successful Product Design and Management Toolkit is a little 796-page pamphlet that goes through all the keys to product success in substantial depth, along with quizzes and examples and exercises. So that's good. But also, my most favorite book is the one I recently released called Letters from My Hymie. My dad's name was Hyman, and sometimes he went by the nickname Hymie. And I named it Letters from My Hymie to not confuse it to Letters from My Vagina. And he was a very funny guy, and a cousin of mine had somehow got letters that he wrote home during World War II as he served in the military, and they were pretty funny. And he always wanted to get published, but he was afraid to query a publication on an article he liked to write for fear of being rejected. So here I could take his letters, and then I surrounded the dates of each of the letters with a little history of what was going on in the world, dating back to the 1880s when my grandfather, Louis Fradin, was born in the Ukraine, became a blacksmith to the governor of Kyiv, and was given money to get out of the country before the ninth pogrom happened. And in my research of the genealogy of the Fradin family, which is all in the book, I found that my grandmother, about 26 generations ago, left under a pogroms threatening Spain in 1492.
Wow.
She probably left because she heard Christopher Columbus was going to fall off the end of the earth in the same way. And she and her little party was traveling north from the Barcelona area, I believe is where she was born and raised. And this is probably why I like tapas so much. And they got surrounded by burglars, and this gallant man on a horse with a sword and his friends with swords that came to her rescue, took one look at this 15-year-old girl and fell madly in love with her.
Hold tight. We got to take another quick break. I love this. Hold tight. We'll be right back to the Blissful Living Podcast, y'all. Stay tuned. Okay, we're back. And this is Dr. Rochel Marie Lawson. And so David was telling us about, continue that story about your I can't even say your great, maybe your great grandmother.
Yeah, and so they got married, had children, and later Fradin generations became the mayor of Lyon. Another group of Fradins started a winery, which is still going, I think, in France. Another one became a general in Napoleon's army, and another one was anointed a duke by the King of France. Oh, wow. And following French aristocracy, I'm here talking to a queen, Lawson. I am a duke. And I ignore the fact that such heritages were eliminated in the French Revolution. So I still go by the name of Duke. And if you search for Duke David Fradin on Amazon, you can get the book Letters from My Hymie.
Oh, that is so cool. Now, what branch of service did your dad? Was he an Army, Air Force?
He joined the Marines, and then they kicked him out in 1942 because he had flat feet. And he didn't like the idea as a single-bodied, as an able young man roaming the streets where he lived in Washington, D.C. So he enlisted again in the Army, and they put him in the infantry with his flat feet. And
Wow.
then he was always getting into trouble. For example, he was stationed in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and he stole the base's captain's motorcycle and went joyriding around the base. And they sentenced him to kitchen patrol.
Oh,
He was also in the Coast Guard, in the Army, Air Force, in the Navy.
wow. So he
Uh,
did it all. He seemed like he
yeah,
was a fun dude, kind of like a little jokester,
yes.
and
So
just living
he
life,
served,
pushing the edge for sure, pushing
he
the edge. That's so cool.
One time he rode home and he was a clerk, in addition to being an interpreter for the German prisoner of war, because he knew Yiddish fluently, which is very close to German. And he says, it's so boring here that I've decided to start reading Army regulations just for the humor.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It sounds so cool. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, David. And, not only just you have this brilliant mind that you helped develop, I want to say, the technology that we utilize today, but just the stories about your family and just your story about developing a product line that has been sustainable is amazing. Thank you for your work that you've done, and thank you for the contributions you made to our technology, and thank you for being in Silicon Valley. Now, I remember I did a presentation at that Apple location, that campus in Cupertino, and when I pulled up, I was blown away because it was amazing. It was beautiful. It was unlike anything I had ever seen in Silicon Valley. If you go up and down 101, you could easily access, Hewlett Packard, IBM, all of the Intel, all these companies. But that Apple campus in Cupertino off of 280, 17 was just, no, it's 280, was just amazing. And so, again, thank you, David, for being a guest on the Blissful Living Podcast. Thank you all for watching, listening. Subscribe to the show so you can get advanced notification of the show. I want to thank our sponsors, Blissful Living for You at Blissful Living, the number 4, the letter U.com. Check them out if you have wellness, wisdom, or wealth that you want to enhance in your life. And All Day Cable Incorporated, the telecommunications installation company located in the heart of Silicon Valley. This has been a show about Silicon Valley energy, Silicon Valley girl, and a Silicon Valley guy. And until next time, I'm wishing you all a phenomenally fabulous day. Take good care, and goodbye for now.